We begin this part with a flashback. What do you mean? It's just, as I said, I'm handing you one for all. Outside the dorms and at the steps, Mirio tells Izuku that he wishes to hand over his power. But it's your quirk, right? It's killing you. That's not the only reason. You're the only one who can safely take it and protect it, grow it. I trust you. We all do. And my job lies elsewhere. I'm still a million. I know what I'm asking is a lot of you. No, you're being rational, thought Izuku. We see him running through an unspecified city as he runs for Aoyama, who had called for them to meet in a parking lot. Thanks for coming, Midoriya. Why are you out here, Aoyama? Not that I mind. Aoyama responds that his lawyers and parents got him released. Great, we have to tell everyone. No, I need to tell you something. It's funny, even with Japan in ruins, there's still this justice system. How long do you think it'll last? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I mean, I figured out why All For One is doing all this. A country in ruins, grasping at straws and killing itself. The rest of the world has abandoned us, and villains rampage, and this just gets worse and worse. So imagine if there was a quirk that came in and fixed all of that. Whoever had that quirk wouldn't just become the leader. They become an undisputed demon lord. And, well, Aoyama, don't tell me. As All For One drops from the sky, he dons a new suit and a machine encasing his face as Aoyama apologizes. I had to protect my family, Midoriya. I'm sorry. And you did. Good work. The villain is confused when Aoyama then turns, firing a laser at that All For One dodges in the air and scoffs at. So you turned on me, have you? Of course I did. I'm a hero after all. As Izuku steps forward, portals are conjured behind, releasing a force of heroes that run out en masse, but All For One uses his own portals made of goop from which his army of vagabonds escape. This is the day you all fall, shouts Aoyama. From the control center, where this is all being monitored, we see All Might, who has taken up charge with the police, and his friend Tsukauchi. Of course, he'd bring all the villains. Someone commence Operation Troy Tempt and Trap. Lunging forward like a madman against Shigaraki's wishes, Toya releases a blast which is countered by ice from Todoroki, who leaps out of the portal just in time, and by his side is Shinso. Not on my watch, brother. From below at this point, the villains had found themselves swallowed and encased by metal shells, and from one of these portal points, Monoma is revealed. The star has arrived, he shouts. Having copied Kurogiri's quirk from Izuku, he creates portals that warp them to different locations that have been set beforehand to battle them. Certain groups of heroes chasing after them quickly. See you in hell, Deku. Deku smiles and simply nods as Bakugo jumps in, and Izuku looks to Aoyama as he begins to be enveloped in darkness. Don't die. As he is teleported, he finds himself falling from the sky inside the fortress built by the efforts of everyone from UA, but mostly from people like Mei and those in her department. Whilst he falls, Deku sees Shigaraki up ahead crack a massive smile. Let's dance, hero. No, it's more appropriate to say that I'm here to kill you, Shigaraki. Oh, I didn't take you for a talker during battle. I'm not, but I felt I had to make this clear. I won't beat you, kill you, or otherwise. I'll just do this like I always have. Rika at this point exits her domain and brings out a new katana courtesy of Mei, and he brings it up to his face, stating, I will utterly curse you. The villain then bursts forward when Rika then claps, and as he swings, extending his arm, which grows out multiple fingers, he hits nothing when that arm is then cleaved off. He looks down and is kicked up by Deku, who chases after him and walks right above him, thrusting forward with his blade as he dodges and opens his mouth, releasing a blast. But as it reaches Deku, it simply does nothing and simply hits the cage above, deflecting to the top. Rika then grabs his leg and throws him to the ground as he crashes, shaking the entire main area. Oh, I can't stand that guy, he's so creepy. Agreed, let's kick his ass. Flying down together, they each pull back and swing. Deku cleaves his blade into his skin as Shigaraki barely keeps the pressure of the blade at bay using a damage reduction quirk. Rika then hammers into him with both hands. Deku kicks him as he crashes through a building, which decays to nothing as he bursts back out, swinging, aiming to decay Deku unrelentlessly. Each strike gets stronger and faster, releasing a shockwave as Deku blocks and dodges and then swings down his blade into his shoulder. The villain falls onto one knee as Deku watches his flesh regenerate when fingers then sprout from that very same spot and turn giant, forcing back Deku, who as he lands parries and deflects each flick, not moving back a step. But as he blocks, he spreads a golden aura and soon freezes them before he points forward and with his left pointer finger says, Haka. A blinding red light flashes and slams into the stomach of Shigaraki and obliterates all else between the two as he stumbles across the battlefield when he's then caught by Rika, who swings him to the sky. Get back here! As Shigaraki is pulled down, he expects Rika and Deku to switch places, and he indeed hears a clap and switches places, but he punches forward, releasing rivets of metal. This attack actually manages to puncture into Deku as he spews blood, but he finds that Deku's blade has actually punctured into his chest while his rivets turn to rust, and he just watches everything crumble around him, this entire area being destroyed by their battle. But he definitely didn't expect this. You're really trying to kill me, aren't you? From afar, a camera watches this action and relays it to Mission Control as a distraught All Might watches Deku being forced to kill, and he thinks that this must be so hard for him. But it really isn't. For one, had he never gotten in the way of Shigaraki, he would have killed way too many people. And he doesn't really care about killing people that deserve it. If Shigaraki hadn't been stopped, All Might would be dead. He really doesn't care. His mom would have died. It's just a give and take at this point. As he falls to the ground, Shigaraki begins to gag and die out. A visage of Nana appears beside Deku. You didn't have to. What were you trying to keep him alive for, ma'am? After doing so much, keeping him alive is torture. All alone, no family, constant pain. The first user agrees as well. He was beyond saving. I'm sorry. The hero resigns back to One For All as she has to bear with the fact that this is the only way, but while she's back in the world of One For All, Izuku joins them and stands before them all. You can hate me for as long as you want, man, but the one he kills next could have been my mother just to get to me. I regret nothing. But I am sorry. Losing family, no matter how broken they are, isn't a good thing. So I'll end this so you can have more time to mourn. With eternity disappears, leaving his predecessors quiet when none of them begins to laugh. We're putting all our burdens on one child. What does the world come to? He's a hero through and through, even if he doesn't want to admit it. I like the kid's spirit for sure, said Banjo, but we need to do what his friends did, reel him back in when it's time. Even you've taken a liking to him, said Hikage. The first user looks to the second user, who stands in a corner as he opens his eyes. I'm more partial to the loudmouth kid, but he isn't too bad. Speaking of Bakugo, he, Hawks, and Tokoyami and Endeavor face One For All in the very forest that he once held the base of Liberation Army at to construct their plans. It goes by the name of Gunga Mountain, if I didn't mention that before. Bakugo's speed overwhelms the villain, who he continues to kick around using his explosions over and over as he bludgeons him into the sky and then moves right behind him. Take this! As he strikes down with this hand, a flash goes off and hits All For One towards the ground, where waiting for him is the massive form of Dark Shadow. Ragnarok! With this scream, Tokoyami bashes into the villain, cracking his chest in, caving it in, and breaking his mask as he has the wind knocked out of him. You... those eyes... I can't stand them. You need to die! He would forcefully twist his neck and stare at Bakugo in the back, who bears the same look as the second user, the one who took his brother from him, the one he despises for all eternity. You wretched pests! He explodes from his body those very similar black tendrils that Shigaraki used that nearly pierced Tokoyami, who was saved by Hawks, pulling him aside. But Endeavor and Bakugo charge in past them, avoid the spikes released from them as they charge and then with a scream attack and detonate everything onto him. Special move, flash fire, cluster, impact, fist. Laying the villain asunder into essentially a boiling ball of energy, they throw him to the sky as he leaves behind a trail of smoke. Both heroes are left breathing heavily as they know he won't go down that easily, but they're hoping he can at least show them some damage. But all they hear is laughing. The smoke unveils, showing a barrier of energy covering him. You know a thing or two about scarring with fire, wouldn't you, Endeavor? This time, however, you don't have an easy target. He's just riling you up, said Hawks. Endeavor says he knows, but it should be about time. You didn't feel it yet, did you? Tag in Midoriya. A resonating clap is heard as Deku takes the place of the hero, much to all for one's surprise. We'll leave this to you, said Tokoyami. As Izuku nods and the others are warped away, All For One begins to laugh incessantly. Oh, this is Precious, the boy born with everything who cannot help but throw it away for the sake of others. It's a waste. And then there's you. My best friend. I don't like the way you're looking at him. Do you? Said Izuku. Not one bit. He's creepy. He reminds me of a literal dump. Nah, we can't be jerks. I mean, someone can't help that they have a pattern of doing dumb shit. Annoyed yet, you bastard? Asked Izuku. I'm gonna murder you. Inside his body, something begins to unlock, with All For One being covered by a veil of golden energy. That veil then shows a new face, but the boys aren't really scared, shocked, or bothered. Ares DNA, said Bakugo. Let's kick his ass already. Agreed. They blitz forward as Izuku slices off his arm while Bakugo detonates an explosion into his face, but they're blown back as they begin to get chased by chomping mouth balls. There's really no other way to describe those things. Izuku bats away at these creatures like nothing before then finding himself encased in the blast, which is then blown away as Bakugo fires and allows Deku to fly forward, summoning Rika, who claps, switching spots with the villain, who then blocks a strike with his arms when they're sliced through before he is then struck in the face by a punch from the cursed spirit. She then pulls him back and shouts in his face, "Get crushed!" As he squirms in pain, the villain is forcefully squished and flattened as he tries to resist, but he cannot. The Rage of Rika has been held back far too long, and it's finally been released. She says to not touch her brother. She will then swat him away and punches forward, firing a purple, which reaches the villain before he can even fully reform and fires a hole into his newly made stomach. The villain barfs blood as he then regresses in age right before the two. This heals his injuries, but horribly, as he's left a mangled mess full of anger. He's going through puberty all over again, said Bakugo. Makia! Flatten them! As he turns his gaze to the right, Deku does as well as he sees the massive villain running their way, throwing a massive pile of just rubble like their way. It's a massive boulder. Let Rika handle it. But then now Bakugo avoids a blast and rushes at the younger All For One while Deku flies in to overpower Gigantomachia. You, Gigantomachia, are really starting to piss me off, said Rika. As the boulder is vaporized almost instantly from Rika having used Overhaul, she then starts to fly for him as Machia does the same but just running. Rika speeds up and the moment her hand makes contact, the villain turns to nothing as he's ripped apart from the inside, splattering her with blood. All For One seeing this is left panicked and he asks himself, is he seriously terrified of kids right now? As he's having these thoughts, he's punched through the stomach, which he had just regenerated, and screams in pain, and this is when he understood. He finally understood why only the two of them were left to battle him. They feed off one another's power and constantly grow, almost like a perpetual motion machine. But I'm destined to be a demon lord. Everything is mine, Izuku Midoriya, including him. Regenerating again, he turns from adult to teenager to full-on toddler and begins to scream, blasting the two's ears as they hold him in pain while he releases his black rivets to pierce their hearts. But both these attacks are caught by Rika, who breathes in and fires a pulse of wind just from shouting, sending him flying before firing a blast of cursed energy along with it. All For One finds himself caught in a struggle as he releases a mound of black spheres containing antimatter energy, but they're being eradicated regardless. That's not theoretically possible. That's supposed to be me. I defy all logic. This isn't some comic book story. Gah! All his spheres are dispersed, showing Rika's hand right at his face, when from behind, Deku holds up his hand. His ring glistens. Yoik Tenkai. Inside the world of One For All the users begin to stand from their seats and all walk to the edge of this floating rock they had always stood on, and instantly are transported to a graveyard. They look around impressed. You've definitely outdone yourself, said the first user. Watch out for the swords, they're super sharp, said Bakugo. Ooh, is that no Dachi? The hell? Is that a This is a treasure trove, shouts Banjo. All for One is surprised to be inside the space, and he always did want to know what it was like. All you've done is brought me to all I want. All of it right before me. Right then, however, his brother's fist finds itself at his face as he's sent flying, crashing into a wall, and then abruptly is grabbed by Banjo, who pulls him in and knocks him across the face as well. He tries to fire an attack, but he can't feel anything. No quirk is responding at all, and when he looks forward, he is horrified. No, 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 no. It can't be. He begins to kind of crawl backwards in a complete state of terror as an army crawls out of those very same graves in this domain. They punch away at the stone, holding them back, and are left freed before turning their gazes to the one who had taken everything from them. Every single one of these people are the ones that he has stolen a quirk from. Their very spirit had returned back just to curse him. How? You're all dead. All of you shouldn't exist. None of you should be here at all. No, they live, said Bakugo. Now you can get a taste of your own medicine. This feels really pretty cathartic to me, all things considering. Yeah, said Izuku. You own everything, right? Then try taking their pain, their misery. It's rightfully yours. Oh, and so is this. Walking forward, he grabs the katana and throws it as it pierces through his stomach again as he screams in pain when Hikage walks over and pulls it out, and he watches himself not rejuvenate but age forward back into his prime. What did you... You copied her meta ability too. Killing a young man wouldn't sit well in their minds, said Hikage. They wanted to see the real you. As the first user turns and walks away, All for One is swarmed and torn apart as the users of One for All just watch him die out. He is killed, rejuvenated, regenerated over and over, and yet the pain never stops while he must keep bearing with it every single time. What goes around comes around, as they say. One for All. I hit it, and you never even noticed, thinks Izuku. As the attack is stopped, everyone parts ways, and he and the users of One for All are left surrounding a shining light. This light was the bit of all that we all start as, a hint of hope, of potential. That was all that remained of All for One. But All for One wasn't born like that. He was born in blood and battle, a broken kid, a broken man. His light goes out, and just like that, the end of the battle has come. Todoroki and Endeavor together faced Toya and were joined by their family to cool him down. Uraraka's interactions with Toga do not change either, and all of this was caught on camera. And the battles that mattered, they were broadcasted, brought back hope into this society, and brought back any hope of this semblance of normality ever returning to their world. But if All for One really trusted so much in comic books, even if he said that this is a comic book story, he really shouldn't have just thought he would win, because if he read long enough, he realized that heroes always win, because it doesn't take just some overpowered person to just come in and fix everything. No matter how hard it is, heroes always prevail because they never stop trying. At least in comic books they do. This is quote-unquote real life. It's their world. Time skip. UA High Academy, 20 years later. We re-enter this building, and there we find a celebration, another sports festival, as classes are called out by the new MC, Jiro. Welcome to UA Sports Festival. Are you folks ready to rumble? She shouts. The crowd roars with agreement as the students step out and begin to trickle out. And amongst them, we find two specific ones. One is named Yuji Midoriya, and another is named Matthew Kotsky. And they're expecting some people in the stands. As they enter the stands, we see Uraraka helping a now hindered and withered Inko out of a tunnel right as they reach their seats. Those who follow behind them would earn the applause of all those present as well, because behind her are Bakugo Katsuki, Izuku Midoriya, Melissa Shield, Masaru and Mitsuki Bakugo. By the way, obviously, Bakugo married Melissa and Deku married Uraka. I truly don't care. I don't care. I think it's pretty cute. Anyway, they're left in awe to see the heroes and their families present, and as they take their seats, they see their two little boys down there, and they wave to them, and they wave back. Now, I'll explain their powers, their quirks. Yuji Midoriya's quirk is named Random. He summons a box which acts as a gacha, randomly summoning a weapon or item. When he summons the same item 3 times, it is personally stored in the box and can be called upon. This quirk is based on cursed energy as well, meaning he can create barriers, and there is a natural binding vow which raises his chances of getting good weapons and items up to 100%, which means he's extremely broken, as he's already had shoes that can let him fly, a sword that can literally stretch and elongate, and many other things. As for Matthew Bakugo, his quirk is Lightbringer. He bombards the very atoms in the air to such a degree that he creates light, which he can then use to form many types of shapes. He can melt steel or be able to just blind someone, meaning that he just has to make contact with air or people to just create light. But it doesn't mean that he just simply detonates. Just slightly bombarding these atoms, he can create shockwaves as well. It's all about how he controls it. And he can already use explosions like his father easily because, well, it's basically the same type of quirk. But he has a little bit more finesse with it. You feel me? Oh, Deku, this kind of feels like a dream. Let me smack you and let's see what happens. Yeah, we can go at it right now, you know. Nah, I'm too tired. I had an early shift this morning. You're not wrong, though. I can hardly believe it. If this is a dream, then I hope it never ends. This is the end of the story. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like and subscribe. I don't like to say that stuff that much, but hope you really did enjoy the story. I enjoyed writing it. This is where we leave off. This series is completed. See y'all later.